guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing another look, something I haven't really done before. We're going to be playing with some color today. I'm going to go for a red glitter cut crease. First, I'm going to start off with the Jeffree Star Thirsty palette. I'm going to dip into this shade Stroke. Usually as a transition shade, I wouldn't go for such a dark color as this shade, but since I am doing a red look, I'm going to start off with this color. It's a brownish red tone. I'm just going to place that right into the transition area. I'm using the M573 for this, by the way. Now, before I start dipping into these darker shades, I'm going to use this little hack. I'm just going to take some clear Scotch tape. I'll press it on the back of my hands a couple times just to remove some of the sticky residue on it, so it doesn't pick up much of my foundation or powder. And then I'm going to tape it to the corner of my eye just so I'll have like a flawless line. Okay, now I'm going to take the Blood Sugar palette by Jeffree Star, and I'm going to dip into the shade Prick. I'm going to use the same M573. And I'm going to place that right below my transition shade Stroke. I'm going to take this across the entire lid, trying to avoid the inner corner. And I'm going to take it all the way to the edge of our tape. I'm just pressing to make sure it's really pressed down. Now I'll be taking the shade Cherry Soda. It's this shade right here. It's just a darker red. And I'll be focusing that on the outer corner. Now with my Morphe E36, I'm going to dip into this shade right here. It's called Fresh Meat. And again, I'm just focusing that on the outer corner. Now I'm going to go back in with the M573, and I'm going to blend along the middle area just to make sure that the darker shades and the lighter reds are blended together well. With my E22, I'm going to take the shade Tongue Pop, and I'm going to blend around the edges. Now I'm going to take my M573, and I'm just going to dab a little higher up than we were, just to try to blend the transition shades with the red more. And back to my E22, not adding any more product, just buffing around the edges. I'm going to take the E36 and dip into the shade Extraction. And continue to deepen the outer corner. I'm going to keep this really low, not passing the crease. Now I'm going to dip into the shade Coma. And again, I'm focusing on the outer corner. Now I'll be taking my Morphe 35F Fall into Frost, and I'm going to dip into this matte black shade using the same E36, and I'm going to focus that on the outer corner. I'm using dabbing motions to build up the pigment and then buffing around the edges. Using my E17, I'm going to dip into the shade Extraction and use that to blend that black into the reds. I'm just buffing around the edges of the black and slowly dragging it towards the middle of the lid to blend into the red. I'm going back in with the E36 to intensify the black more. And back again with the E17 and blending around the edges of it. Using my M321, I'm going to take the shade Fresh Meat, and I'm slightly going to go right up above that line and add a little more pigment into my transition area. Back to the E36, I'm not adding any extra product. There should be enough on it. I'm just intensifying the black, making sure we didn't lose any of the pigmentation. Now I'm going to go back to the M573, not adding any product. I'm just going to buff around the edges. With my E22, I'm going to go back into the shade Tongue Pop and buff right around the edges up near the brow bone. Now comes the tricky part. I'm going to try to make a silver liner out of a gold liner using the shade Divine from the Jeffree Star Thirsty palette and the Maybelline Master Precise ink liner in the shade Gold. I'm just going to start at the beginning of my inner corner and slowly carve out my crease. Now I'm going to take this flat top brush by Alamar Cosmetics, wet it with my Tarte Ready Set Radiant, and dip into the shade Divine. I'm going to try and coat the bristles really well, and then using just the tip of the brush, I'm going to dab it across where I just put on the gold liner. It's kind of working, but not as well as I had hoped it would. So I'm going to try something different. I'm going to take some lash glue on the back of my hand and the Alamar Cosmetics brush, and then I'm going to dab across the line again and dip into the shade Divine and try to apply it again. Girl, it worked. I'm going to do the same to the other eye. Okay, I just got it all over my inner corner, but I'm not too concerned because I already have to conceal that area. I'm just trying to use stamping motions to apply it. I think maybe This ink liner gave me an edge because I didn't try it on this side, but I did on the other, and it was much easier to apply. The silver shade over. Needless to say, I need to invest in silver liner. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's there, and I can work with there. Okay, this side's much thicker than I intended, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure that I can cover it and go over it. I'm going to pull out my Glamoflauge Hard Candy Concealer, and I'm going to place some on the back of my hand. Now I'm going to take this rounded brush by Alamar Cosmetics. I'm going to dip into the concealer, and I'm only going to carve out the inner corner. I'm going to dab that area just to make sure there's not too much excess product. And using the Morphe E18, I'm going to dip into this shade right here. It's called Glucose. It's a nice matte white. And I'm just going to pack that pigment on over the concealer. This eye's looking a little rough right now. We could work through it. I'm going to go back to the M573, and I'm going to blend the red to the white, just buffing around the edges. I'm going to remove the tape. Okay. Now I'm going to take my M321 and the shade Fresh Meat, and I'm going to try to touch up where I messed up on this eye. And I'm going to take the M330 and dip into the shade Prick and focus that mainly on the middle region of the lid, just to intensify the red. And now I'm going back to the M321, and I'm going to focus on blending the darker shades with the reds more. And I've got to do something about this inner corner. It's just bugging me. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Probably try to put on more white pigment and see if that helps things. So I'm going to dip back into the shade Glucose. And now I'm going to go back to the Jeffree Star Thirsty palette and dip into the silver glitter pigment and carve around again just to make sure that my line is still there. I'm going to take my M573 and just buff around the edges again since I added more of the shade Glucose. Now using the M321, I'm going to take the shade Cherry Soda and start to blend that onto the lower lash line. I'm going to use my E22 just to buff around the edges. I'm going to dip into the black matte shade from the Morphe 35F, and I'm going to focus that on the outer corner of the lower lash line. Using the M139, I'm going to take the shade Prick and apply that almost to the inner corner, but not quite. And now I'm going to go into the shade Glucose using my E18, and I'm going to go right at the inner corner on the lower lash line. Okay guys, this is what we have for our look today. I'm going to apply some lashes and mascara, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. This is the final look. I applied the Kiss Look So Natural lashes in the style Flirty. I also applied the Wet n Wild megaliner in the shade Black. I did a very exaggerated wing, and it blends flawlessly with the rest of the darker shades that we did earlier. It turned out really well, even with our mishaps with the silver liner. Hopefully, if any of you guys try to do this at home, you actually have a legitimate silver liner, because that was a hassle. I also applied the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit in the shade Missy and Fierce. It's a very pretty luscious red. Yeah. Well, this is the final look. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If there's anything you would like me to cover in future videos, just link a comment down below and I'll do my best to get to it. There are a few trends that I'm planning to try to tackle soon, like the clouds and the sunset. I'd really like to try things like that just to add some more color and creativity to my channel. But if there's anything in specific you would like me to cover, anything from a full face to my skincare routine, eyebrows, liner, contour, you name it, I can help you ladies out, or men, whoever. We're all inclusive. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I am still giving away the Pretty Vulgar Nightingale palette, brand new in the fresh packaging, never touched. Well, the shadows have never been touched. Clearly the packaging has. But whenever I reach 100 subscribers, I will be shipping this off to one of you beauties that are randomly selected. Thank you for your support, and be sure to tune in for next week's video.